Kenya has gone to rule in favor of LGBTQ. Now, Kenya's Supreme Court reaffirms LGBTQ right to associate and to register as well. Hello, I am Mahlet Ayele, your host at Connect Africa, bringing you the latest from our continent. This time, we have moved to the Eastern African country, Kenya. So here is what the nation's media in Kenya has published. Let's read some part of it regarding this, what it says. So Supreme Court reaffirms LGBTQ right to associate. So what does that mean? It is not passed in the law yet, but as you know, this is a preparation now that they are entitled to register, be a legal body and to be an NGO, and then the others will come later. This is how it says. The Supreme Court on Tuesday upholds the right of the National Gay and Lesbian Human Rights Commission and GLGRC to register. Thus, it's the NGO in Kenya. So this is the development. Now, that being said, actually, my focus, why I come here at this hour, is that to talk about how in the past few weeks or even a month or so, how President William Ruto's policy internally and externally started to change. So let's talk about that, meaning this is now the latest. But when President Ruto started, we all know how Pan-African he was. Now, to start from the topic itself, the LGBTQ thing, as many Pan-African leaders say that it's many heads of states have been resistant to pass this in law. And they have also faced a lot of backlash from the West. I mean, President Museveni of Uganda is one of them. There's Kagame. There's also in Nigeria, it's in last week actually, where LGBTQ people gathered and some of them were detained or arrested by the police. So many heads of states are fighting this case. So this is a new development. Now, for Kenya, we understand that, for the African people, most of them, what they are saying is this is not our priority. The priority in the continent is there are, a lot of challenges and problems that Africa has that needs immediate solution. Like, there is to be self-sufficient in food, in feeding itself, meaning the continent. There is a medical care. There is a school for children. There is lots of things that the continent has to focus. This is not our priority, and do not make us to promote it. That was, mostly the rhetoric that has been going on. Now, what I wanted to say, to reflect on is on President Ruto himself, to connect the dots so far, what he has been doing and changing in the country and how he reached to this point. Now, the court, although it is the judiciary is independent, but it does not seem so. This did not happen without the knowledge of President William Ruto, because there was an article that came out. Look, if I share this with you, where it tells us actually President Ruto himself was consulted about this. And he sent the general attorney. Ruto says he will seek review of the Supreme Court ruling. And so what he said, he will revisit the matter of the Supreme Court ruling on LGBTQ communities' right to register lobbies, saying the government will seek a review. So, you can see that it's not, although judiciary is an independent one, but the president himself was involved in this process. Now, let's see what makes us to say, President Ruto in the past few weeks or a month is kind of gone, that he's totally submitting to the pressure of the West. Now, President Ruto started out, when he started, as you all remember, like any other president, as most of the presidents in the continent, for example, the Ghanaian president Nana Akufo-Addo, and any other heads of states, by giving that Pan-African rhetoric, Pan-African speech, and even us here at Connect Africa in our platform, we have really praised him and said, is he the man that Africa has been waiting for? It all started now, to help you really to connect the dots, when with his great visionary speech at the Pan-African Parliament, and then also where he came and he called for nations in Africa to finance the African Union, and also he made a speech about the Pan-African payment system regarding to the African continental free trade area, and then his speech on de-dollarization, and then on the financial summit in Paris, where he confronted President Macron, and all this added up, it has raised for many Africans and Pan-Africans that this is the right man in our generation, who is a Pan-African leader. So now you may ask, when did it go wrong? So when did we start to see the symptoms of this man kind of sliding to or submitting himself to the pressure of the West? Now, first, if you remember, this is where he did, when he condemned the coup in Niger, and he said he will support what the actions that ECOWAS will take. And his speech was actually even as if he was speaking on the African Union, even when the African Union did not say anything. So that was a very confusing one, and people start to question President Ruto. Now, another event is when Kenya agreed to send troops or police to Haiti, in collaborating with the US, and the civil society organizations in Haiti have written a letter opposing this, and many have also have protested this action taken by Kenya. In fact, this is actually where it kind of throw many Pan-Africans after Ruto agreed to send police with the US government. Now, it's not this only this once. As if this is not enough, there is also another event where President Ruto authorized the use of GMOs in Kenya, agreeing with Bill Gates, and that was not welcomed by many. There's also another one where President Ruto, that's a recent one, in August, in the BRICS summit, where many heads of states, African and others, there were around, I think, 69 heads of states participated, and also from the majority from Africa, as the theme was about Africa. But President Ruto, where he was nowhere to be found. He was absent. There were three major leaders that were absent, actually. President Ruto, Bola Tinubu of Nigeria, and Kagame as well. So, this kind of things US does, and allies their own lobby for the African leaders not to participate in such meetings. Now, this cannot be, it was seen really, the BRICS one, as a kind of a stab at the back of Pan-Africanism, especially what he has been popularizing, what he has been sticking to ever since he came to power. And very recently, President Ruto, actually, he traveled before the UNGA, the United Nations General Assembly meeting, a few days before, and he was having a speech in California, if I'm not mistaken. And we have seen him also in meeting with IMF, and where the IMF was pressuring Kenya actually to remove those tax exemptions on basic supplies like food and others. And in fact, in July, Kenya has removed fuel subsidies, which resulted an increase in price of fuel. And there will be many where those items that were exempted from tax, now they will have a tax, and this will hurt. Actually, this is against his own policy. When he came to power, he said he will have a bottom-up approach, meaning to address those the poor ones, and to benefit them. So this is really in contrary with that. But in his speech in California just before this United Nations summit, he said he was praising and talking about Kenya, and we welcome the investors from the US, to the point even to franchise M-Pesa and other ICT technologies and investments in Kenya, and where he's preaching to give them a tax-free business while he's adding tax on the poor, but he's welcoming. But all this is, the evil work of IMF and World Bank. But of course, it's a choice to submit to, to admit it or to be subjected to it or not. Now, very recently, so now today you have seen this the LGBTQ thing, the West, the US particularly, when Kamala what was her name, Kamala Harris, right, the vice president, was doing her tour in Africa, like her major agenda was this, it's up to the countries whether for them to incorporate that in their law or not, to prioritize what is really the necessity, what are the things that they want to deal with in prior. It's up to the countries, but the US wants this. Otherwise, even they deny to some of the countries funds and other things. If you don't do this, I don't do, like like children, if you don't do this, I will not buy you a sweet or something. So that is the way. Just like France, yesterday this Malian artist was exactly, that's how he was describing the character of France. If you do not do this, then we will not give visa to your students and to your artists. That kind of approach or arrogance they have now. So that was it for us. It's up. We will leave it up to you to judge all these events or dots to connect and to comment on President William Ruto, whether he's totally or completely lost to imperialism. It's a question to you. Has he completely lost the track? Is he under the unbearable colonial pressure, due to the frequent visits of US officials that we see to Kenya and also Europeans as well? Is he selling out the interest of African people to the West? For what reason? All these are a question to you. So your comment or answers to these questions will help us in what way we can shape our next discussion on this subject. So let us know your thoughts on this in the comment section. And thank you everyone for tuning here. Mikey, yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for tuning in. And yeah, I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.